I feel like this is not gonna work. But anyway, it's the abstractionist. Let's look at my motherfucking nerves. Hold on. 2 seconds in, I'm already over it. Okay. Oh my god. Like, okay. Whatever. This is what it's gonna be. I have hair. I have not cut my hair. I always gotta say that because I feel like so many people are like, oh, that's a new deal. It's not. I just don't have the fucking band on today. Anyway, so this is a video about my 10th house Gemini Uranus type thing, and I'm gonna talk about this briefly because I'm finding a new interest in stuff. So I think this is a good time to kind of be like, the house that you have Gemini and Gemini Uranus kind of things happening, is the house that you might start to have like a particular interest in studying, hobby wise, stuff like that. And you just might start to see the world through that because it's communication and all that kind of stuff. And so I'm in my MFA in creative writing program, right? So I'm in poetry, I write, and I like observe the world and write about what I observe and all that kind of stuff. And I'm going into my final year of the program, which I find to be excellent. But I like other stuff outside of like tarot land and things like that, and I have plans to go back to school after I graduate. Not directly like right after, but like a year after or so. I plan on going back to school for like something, and I think that'll be my last degree. I ain't got it in me no more. But yeah, like I started to get an interest in it again after a while, and it was kind of, interestingly enough, I feel like it was some sort of transit through my 10th house during that time that I was like thinking about it. I don't know what planet it was, but it was like something transit something transit through that bitch. But yeah, so right now it's transiting like my 10th-ish house. And I'm like, oh my god. And I say 10th-ish because I try to count my ascendant where that is as the full first house. So my ascendant is technically 21 degrees Virgo, so 21 degrees Virgo to 21 degrees, you know, of the the next sign is technically your first house, and then 21 degree, you know, and it goes around. So it's like my 10th-ish house. So yeah, like but I'm starting to get a lot more interest in things that deal with communication, particularly like marketing, and particularly of like celebrity culture. I'm starting to find it really fascinating how people are marketed, and how within the music industry people's marketing makes or breaks them. And so like I'm into like the gossipy side, like the gossipy commentary, but I'm also really interested in just like analyzing that. And I recently had an internship where I was supposed to do social media content. It did not go that great at the end, but I was supposed to do social media marketing and social media posts, but it was supposed to lead into organizing and marketing the like brands and stuff like that. And I did do some initiatives that like ultimately long term will help, that deal with communication, making a newsletter, and then like a resource list that they could use for the newsletter. And like I had started like another report, but like by that time they had kind of like, we just were not on good terms, and I was just like, I'm not delivering anymore for that. But I'm starting to notice things like interacting with people, marketing, branding, awareness, consumer market analysis. Those things are starting to pique my interest. Even discussions about how artists use social media tools to communicate, building an artist website. I'm building one. I'm building a writer's website, an author website, because I have to market my book when I make it. So I'm going to just start it now and keep going. So I'm starting to get really into like writing and thinking about stuff and things like that. And it's kind of funny that Uranus and Gemini really does like click for me in that way. And it's so funny because it's just like, it's my south node. So I would think I would have a hard time, but because it's your south node, it's probably stuff that you already do and or have done or feel more familiar with and comfortable with. And I do feel like in many ways I do feel comfortable with writing and analysis. And I kind of feel like Gemini also talks about communication in general. And I kind of feel like the way different things communicate to you, you communicate to it, the way you're perceived. For me, of course, 10th house is more perception based. My reputation and stuff like that, but I'm also fascinated. It gives me a peek into like dissecting how other people are being observed and perceived. That's something I noticed, that with my like 10th house, like I'm filtering a lot of information about perception and reputation in general and how people work. Like I'm very interested in how people work. Like right now, I feel like Gemini is like a gossipy kind of sign, so I'm really interested. Sorry, but like I'm really interested in like pop cultural stuff right now. So interested in who's releasing new music. Like Taylor Swift announced a new album. I'm like, where the fuck did this album come from? You know, I'm watching think pieces on like Tyler, if you don't know who that is, a South African artist. And like the controversies and things like that regarding her marketing. Essentially it's her marketing. Listening to like new music, listening to people analyze like fashion brands, listening to people do like a bunch of discussions about how people are like, just there's just been a lot of controversies about branding, marketing, perception, reputation that have been catching my eye, and that is something that I'm just finding so fascinating. And the gossip in me is like but I'm really like fascinating watching people and listening to people break down these like issues and kind of start to develop my own, not necessarily safeguards for my business or for what I want to do as a writer, but just kind of like considering the social implications of being out there in the world promoting yourself. Like that it does come with risks, and that it does come with analysis of from people. And it's just a very interesting mental space to be in. I'm very mentally stimulated at at the time we're doing this Uranus and Gemini thing. I'm very mentally stimulated in a more academic sense than I have been in a while. So yeah, like that's where it is. And I kind of feel like if you have Uranus, Gemini, like even in like third house, I kind of want to know like where is it for you, and have you been noticing different things? Like have you gone down the rabbit hole of topics that your house would cover? Like if you were in like the first house, have you like started to deep dive into like psychology dealing with the self, psychology dealing with like perceptions and mirroring and stuff like that? Like if it's in the sixth house, have you started going down like a health kick, or like even just listening to the analysis of different like modalities, breaking it down? Have you started using new apps, all that kind of stuff? Like what has been happening for you guys as this trend has come through? I would love to know. Yeah, I would love to know. So yeah, I would say I'm gonna maybe do another video about this, but sorry, but I'm just like so fascinated with these different topics, and yeah, like I want to deep dive into it. And it's just very interesting that this is like energetically stimulating me. And I think it's just because Gemini is like your third house and it's kind of close to your fourth. So it's kind of like those core, I feel like Gemini can be like those core memories. I mean, I know it's not necessarily like teenager, but like I feel like the core memories of my teenage self, like there's probably like some sort of placement there and some sort of transit there where like this is my inner teenager. These are the things that I actually was interested in when I was younger. And now that my Saturn has kind of passed, I can kind of like actually cultivate this voice that I want, even though it's a South Node voice. Okay. Oh, that's a mouth. Okay. Okay, what's happening here? I can cultivate that voice and like go from there. But it's like something about like my interest when I was younger, and I kind of like am feeling that. My interest when I was younger, deeply rooted interests. So about me, I was very interested in the fashion. I was very interested in design, very interested in like makeup and skincare and horoscopes and stuff like that. And I got away from that as I got older because I had to be more societally kind of acceptable when it came to, and it's really my parents, family type thing, about, I had to be more considerate of like my stability and stuff. And it's just kind of funny that like now in my 30s, I'm like pursuing the stuff that I was interested in before. And so all of that stuff is coming back. And then another thing is that my perception of what I wanted in my career has definitely shifted in the last few months, because it was funny because I was talking about clarity and gaining clarity about what I wanted to do, and then after that, like my internship like tanked, and it was like, damn, like it was wrapping itself up anyway, like actual deadlines of when it was over, but it was just kind of funny that I like said that, and then like it just kind of went to hell. But I'm kind of happy with like what I learned through that process. And then I'm just also kind of like changing careers over and kind of realizing like kind of putting to bed like a lot of the things that I was interested in, and kind of going forth with my other stuff. So yeah, like I'm very stimulated and interested in what I am seeing, and I hope that Uranus and Gemini will be a very intellectually stimulating kind of space for me. I already know my career is going to like shift in dramatic ways, and I have to kind of like be open to what is happening. So that's about it. I think this was a more in-depth video than the previous one about like the Uranus and Gemini and how it's like specifically coming about for me. Like I'm very aware of like reputation and jobs and work culture, but in specific industries that I like music and stuff like that. Like I'm very focused on like the marketing and the making of an artist, the management of the artist, because like I want to go to school for like those sorts of things once I graduate, getting another degree in closely related topics of like music and entertainment and stuff like that. So that's kind of where I'm going, and so that's where I'm starting to like hone in on. It's like a sense of focus also, in addition to like the more titillating aspects of like gossipy commentary, kind of more, yeah. This moth is like very like, what are you doing? What are you doing, moth? I don't know. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.